How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to Muv-Luv Monday, where, well, I don't know if this will be the last episode, but this one actually really feels like it because we've had horrific. It's been a wonderful time, as always. Alternative's just so great. It's the gift that keeps on giving you ruptured spleens and broken hearts, and yeah, it was horrifying. Like, Mira, most likely, I believe, pretty clearly dead. Fujisaki injured, might die, and now there's effectively going to be a coup, a miniature version of the coup that is to come with Takaru and his friends, where, you know, out of desperation about the beta and their advancements, the military is being brutal, and eventually it's too much and the soldiers break. It's about to happen with the recruits, and it's potentially going to be whipped up into they could be going for blood. I don't think the leader is really aiming for that, but the guy who's kind of like spinning everybody up and has all the contacts, the guy who was doing all the smuggling, he seems pretty meticulous about his, like, the way he's manipulating things and like the way he was talking. I think he intends for them to like actually like do her in or something. So Isumi and Isumi's gonna do something about it, unfortunately. I think she's gonna tell on them. I think she's going to reveal what's about to happen, which is a really tough call to make, but I do think it's the right one. Because it's one thing to be upset at the things that Murimo said, because they were really harsh. And like, I kind of wanted to punch her in the face. Like, I was very upset at the way she was saying things, but I get why. And nothing will be gained from this. All it will happen is it's going to make headlines in the papers, and it's almost like a political stunt to kind of give the support to the militarization. And it's like really funny because normally, like, real life, I'm definitely more on that side of things. Like, we don't need a strong military. We don't need to be spending so much on it. It'd be better focused doing that kind of stuff elsewhere, like making sure that like people get help, not oppression. But in the situation with the beta, you need everybody. Like, this is literally extinction level threat. Like, it's unfortunate that so many things have to be sacrificed, like including personal freedoms, but it's like, is there really much of a choice? And so I have to side with Isumi here. Like, I think she's doing the right thing, even though it sucks. But I see how it all plays out. I don't know if there's much else to say. Just here we go. I'm sorry, Takamiya. I lied to you. No, I don't think anyone did. Who would have thought that my reputation as the instructor's #1 target would ever come in handy? Life's full of surprises. But I thought Takamiya was on board with like explaining things. Oh, no, she told Takamiya, like, I'm gonna go and try and convince her to like relax. But Asumi's not. She's gonna flat out just be like, look, they're rabble rousing, and there's an element that's trying to like politically motivate this. No guards. That's not good. So the plot against the instructors was mere empty talk. Karino's connections is just a random idiot who blew things out of proportion. Your typical yellow journalist. He might not be known for his connections in the underworld, but Karino is not a bad guy. More of a Robin Hood than a sheriff of Nottingham. Since he's always profiting from the rest of the cadets, perhaps his little rebellion in a way is to ease his guilty conscience? In any case, this is a chance to use Karino's connections to do the right thing. It's obvious this newspaper reporter is taking advantage of his personal flaws. Anything for a story. This contact doesn't give a damn whether the plan succeeds or fails. As long as there's a controversy surrounding Instructor Jinguuji, Karino's friend is golden. So my task is to remove any sort of justification for Karino and Sakuma's uprising. Once the two heads of this conspiracy lay down their arms, the farce will end. No one really wants things to escalate that far anyway. Everyone just going along to blow off steam. In fact, I don't think Sakuma himself is particularly fond of the idea, even though he might pretend otherwise in front of Karina. But Karina will not let things go further. He's shrewd enough to know there's no profit to be made in antagonizing the upper brass by himself. Not much is obvious from the way he acted when the contraband route was taken out. I'm the one at fault. My lack of leadership brought about this situation. However, there's one thing I can do to put an end to this predicament. I can mediate between the instructor and the cadets. Hopefully.
さて、どうしたものか。
Oh boy. The cadets' actions may be morally justified, but that doesn't mean I can sit back and let this mess spiral out of control. Problem is, I can't think of any concrete measures to stop it from happening. If I fail to cut the insurrection short, my attempt to find common ground with the Instructor Jinguuji will have been a complete waste of time. I'll only end up providing some ammo for Karina's puppet masters. Miura's death and Fujisawa's injuries would have been for nothing. I can't let those vultures profit from their plan. I won't let imbeciles like them interfere with my goals. With my goals. I will never let them defy the place where I belong.
なんでそんなに冷静なのよ。なんで平気なわけ。なんか強いよね。すごく割り切ってるっていうか、動じないっていうか。私があんたの立場だったらおかしくなってたかも。
しかし、その冷静さはさすがだな。こんな時でも動じないお前は本当にすごいよ。
Maybe she's this calm because part of her always kind of thought this could happen. She always anticipated, she always thought about herself as being a terrible leader, you know? Maybe she always assumed that she would get her cadets killed. She kind of went into this believing, remember she was always looking down on her fellows? Maybe she went into this believing that she might be the only one who actually graduated in the end. Maybe Takemiya, probably, but she might have really genuinely thought her other cadets wouldn't, despite, like, telling herself the otherwise. Maybe she genuinely worried that someday, inevitably, somebody would die because of her, and thus, when this all happened, while it's been horrible, earth-shattering, and terrible, in her core, maybe she genuinely doesn't feel that surprised. And that's really sad, if you think about it. To be, I don't know, it kind of, like, again, I can really emulate with it, but it also, I can sympathize with her, but I can also, like, see the horrible, depressing facts, because I'm the same way. I plan for the worst. I look in every situation, and in my head, I run through scenarios of, like, what could be the worst thing that could happen, and what do I do if that happens? It's part of my way of, like, preparing myself, but it kind of, it means I'm, like, an optimistic pessimist, or I like to call myself ultimately a realist. I hope for the best, but I plan for the worst, because I hate being taken, like, by surprise, especially if something really big or meaningful happens to fall through. I hate that feeling of utter abandonment and confusion more than anything, and so I prepare for it. I plan for it so that even if the worst happens, typically I kind of just roll right into what I'm supposed to do next. And I think Isumi might be the same way. I think she's the kind of person who goes into a situation and expects it to go wrong. Plans for it even. Takes the steps and makes sure that, you know, when the time comes, she's already in motion. She doesn't even have to think about it. She just goes. And then when she thinks about it, it's like, it's already too late. Choice has been made. And so I think from the get-go, she knew that she was going to have to bear the responsibility. She wanted to bear the responsibility. And she knew it was her fault. She hated what Marima said, but it didn't faze her because she kind of already had been telling her that herself the same thing. Takemiya got upset at her, but she kind of felt that she deserved it. She took that upon herself. She said, "You're right. I absolutely deserve this, and it's my fault. I shouldn't have done this. I should have done this better. I'd made a mistake." And Takemiya was taken off guard by that. And those two, Sakuma, he even said, like, "You're always so cool-headed." It's just because she's prepared. She just assumes that things are gonna go wrong, and then when they do, she's just like, "All right, let's do it." It sucks. It's horribly emotionally traumatic because I experienced that too, but it's a real thing. Something I plan for all the time. I plan for a future too. It's kind of funny because like that's why Patreon for this channel exists. Not because I think it's sustainable or that I think there's a bunch of people who are dying to support me, but because I like to believe that someday it could happen. And I want that set in place and be ready so that when that time comes, it's going. But I also assume I'm never going to have anything come of it. That this will never become a career because it's something I just enjoy doing. Most people never get to make it a career. So you can see my thinking right there. Optimization. I set everything up for success, assuming the best could happen. But I plan for the worst, and I'm not surprised when it doesn't, because that's just the way life is. What is it? There's a great quote from Picard in Star Trek Next Generation, where he says, "It is entirely possible to do all that you can and still fail. No, do all that you can and lose. That's not failing, that's life." Such a good quote.
何がさすがよ
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. She's tearing herself up inside, but she also kind of saw this coming in a way. Not exactly, obviously, but in a way. She was always preparing for it. As if they could actually have any idea what I'm feeling. How could they actually believe I'm not upset? I may not have deserved the position. It may have been a matter of convenience, but those two were my subordinates, and one of them died. Did they really think I'm going to show them exactly how I feel? That I will let everything bubble up to the surface? The other would wear their hearts on their sleeves, but why does that mean I have to do the same? Even if that's not what they believe, that's how they want things to be. I'm not like them. Not at all. I'm not as candid as them. I can't just say what's on my mind. I'm not like that. We have obligations. We join the army for God's sake. The country needs people who are aware of their duties. This is getting me nowhere. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. I don't need to read her lines.
かなり参ってるみたいだ
Letting my frustration get the better of me. Pathetic. I'm well aware of my image. That's exactly why I'm acting like I do. Acting, yeah, see, she's like, I do what I do because I do it, okay? Shut up, it makes sense. I made the decision to act as a model cadet. No one forced my hand, so why am I getting angry at them but not myself? Seems like I really am a horrible person.
でもある意味羨ましいわね
I don't think it's a horrible person thing. It's the innate selfishness we all have. And whilst we should try and be better than that, I don't think it's something to apologize for, because it's just nature. Some people lean on it. Some people like embrace it. I think the better of us understand that like the bigger picture is what matters. But the thing is, even in the bigger picture, we're a part of it. You know, we're in there. So it's okay to be a little selfish. It's expected. And frankly, when you're having such a trying time and you already have so much like muck flung up in your own face, it's likely you're going to be defensive anyway. And I think she's being really, really good. She's handling this really well. Not that she's not emotional. Absolutely she's emotional. But she's handling it. To be able to see only what's in front of you, that sort of simple-mindedness. I wish I could have been like them. My life would have been so much easier. But it wouldn't be you. Anger overcomes fear. The accident hit close to home for all of us. Instructor Jinguuji fanned the flames of our anger to wake us from our stupor. Those are the facts. She believed we would overcome our predicament by uniting in hatred against a common enemy, herself. What's happening now only proves she was right. The effects, however, were far stronger than she anticipated. Or not. I don't know. I think the twist is going to be she's doing it on purpose. Because she's being like, look, if they really think they can like rise up and do this, it proves that they should not be in the military, let alone in like meaningful positions in the military. Like because like they need to try and route out, wiggle out and make sure the coup thing doesn't happen. It happens eventually still, but like they're obviously trying to avoid that kind of situation. I don't think she'd be surprised at all by Isumi.
やはり想定内と見ておくべきか
Yeah, I think I'm kind of happy to see that there's so much parallelism between the way Isumi thinks and the way I think. A simple matter of cause and effect. She provokes us and we join together to oppose her. She must have considered the riots could happen, the worst case scenario, so to speak. But I shouldn't make light of how people are influenced by their emotions. I just had some first-hand experience after all. Even I was overcome in a matter of minutes, despite the fact that I actively suppressed my emotional side. See, I don't do that. I definitely wear my heart on my sleeve. That's another reason why I'd be terrible at the military. Seems the base's security level hasn't been increased. No matter how confident management appears to be, the lack of security could almost be called a dereliction of duty. The cadets will make the opening move. I'm sure the base won't be able to respond in time to whatever they're planning to do. Assuming that's the case, even if the cadets overthrow security, they will be hard-pressed to deal with their injured. That's probably what the higher-ups are expecting. Much to the delight of the morning's light reporter, the damage caused by our academy will make for gripping headlines. And I will lose the place where I belong. But what? I genuinely have no idea what we can do here, really, besides talk to Instructor Jinguuji. This is the worst, in the most literal sense of the word. The upper brass likely expects things to calm down once people start getting injured, but what if the riot itself isn't the end game? If that's the case, there's only one thing that could be after: the expulsion of the person all cadets have resented since day one, Instructor Jinguuji Marimo, the most hated person in the base. There must have been plenty of soldiers planning to use the cadet's anger to take revenge on her. Not to mention, it would be the perfect chance to pay her back for disposing of the black market route. This is way bigger than Kurino. It has to be. I wonder if this is how Marimo ends up becoming part of the UN. Stop. You always have to assume the worst. Right now, all that stands in between Instructor Jinguuji and the cadets. I need to forge a mutual understanding. To be honest, I want to run away. Mira is gone and Fujisawa straddles the line between life and death. All I want to do is look the other way and find a hole I can crawl into. I need something to distract myself. Losing my own emotions is out of the question. Now that I think about it, this has always been a bad habit of mine. I've been this way since the start. When I'm emotionally overwhelmed, I tend to retreat into my thoughts and try to keep myself under control. To feel better about myself, I always assume the worst and start working on countermeasures. Why don't we just do a psych evaluation of me then? Fetch! And once I've confirmed the worst case scenario did not come to pass, I can finally be at ease. It's literally like reading my own brain from the outside. What the heck? I've been running away like this all my life. Oh, that's a depressing way to look at it. There's not much time left. 20 more minutes and the other squad leaders will come to check on me. I need to get some concrete results fast. Okay, here we go. The only way I could force Kurino and Sakuma to back down is by getting an apology out of Instructor Jinguuji. Even a retraction would work. Anything less than that, then the riot happens. Basically, I must present to them her head on a platter. However, Instructor Jinguuji won't do anything that undermines her position. She might have spoken in the heat of the moment and used emotionally charged language, but I don't see her simply taking her words back. No. No. This isn't gonna end.
ここに来てだんまりたっくこれだから頭のいいやつはあれこれ考えて前に進まないったら
やめてよ私が聞きたいのはあんた自身の言葉よイスミ
Ugh,
いつめの上等句なんかじゃない
Right.
まったくあんたたちの言う通りだわ
Instructor Jinguuji is not someone I can convince with fancy rhetoric alone. That being the case, it seems we're destined to clash with each other. Should it come down to that, I'll have no choice but to improvise. I'll have to endure, just like when she tried to break me. Sadly for her, I have even more to fight for now. Merely reinstating the group's opinion won't do any good. Even if my position is bolstered by the legitimacy that representing all of the squad brings, no. If I want to win, I must do so with my own words. I must speak to my regrets regarding Miura's passing, on my wishes on Fujisawa's recovery, and of my innermost hopes. What was that? Is she punching something? She's probably crying, isn't she?
そんななんでよやめてよ
I think she's worried someone's attacking her, but no, I think she's punching a punching bag and she's like letting her emotions out. Yep, that's what I thought. She's so upset at what she's doing. I knew it! Ah, Fetch, no! No. Fetch, I knew this already. I knew this. Why? God. Keep it together, man.
出ていけ、イスミ！入室を許可した覚えはないぞ！なんであなたが。バカ者！出ていけと言ってるのが聞こえんのか！
Why? Tell me why.
イスミ、貴様。何のつもりかは知らんが、いい加減にしろ！いい加減にするのはあんたの方よ。なんだと？なんなのよ、それ。なんであんたが。なんでよ！
Isn't it clear? I mean, you're not gonna be thinking straight here, but we know, you know what this is.
三浦が死んで藤沢が重傷を負って、あれだけのことを言ったあんたがなんで泣いてるのよ！あんただけは違うと思ってたのに。海だって結局そういうことなの。やめてよ、今さら。
I don't think coward's the right word. You're crying too, you idiot.
ふざけるな！あんたが証明してくれるんじゃなかったのか！あんたを手に入れたんじゃないのか！多くの命と引き換えに手に入れたんじゃないのか！
I'm not surprised, but fetch, man.
だから貴様はここにいるべきではないんだ。公正不正が分かったようなことを。何かにすがった戦いしかできない奴が最も危険なんだ。貴様のような奴が多くの友を殺す。貴様のような奴が罪を恐れて友を遠ざけるんだ。貴様のような奴が死に場所を求めて部下を巻き込むんだ。だったらここで死ね！多くの命を奪う前に。
Fetch, man. I was blacking out, barely conscious from all her blows. She must have been beaten beyond recognition. My face must have been beaten beyond recognition. But there was something that shouldn't be there. I'm not talking about blood that was running down my face. It's tears. Instructor Jinguuji was crying, yet she kept hitting me again and again. Hot streams of tears trickled down her face. That hit me harder than any of her punches. She spewed out curses barely audible amidst her sobbing, yet the hits didn't stop coming, almost as if she was talking to someone else. It was only after being commissioned for some time that I understood the true meaning behind her words that sounded almost like a confession. She sees herself in Isumi. To like a literal degree in this moment. It's really crappy, but it's really sad more than anything else, because she wants herself to be the one she could punch like this. I knew I could block her punches if I tried, but I didn't. I took everything head on. Because if I didn't, Instructor Jinguuji would have crumbled on the spot. It wasn't me she was facing, but rather her own past. Jinguuji Marimo spent half her life atoning for the countless people who died on the battlefield while she alone survived. Looking back, I can't help but think this way. In a sense, maybe Instructor Jinguuji saw her former self in me. Maybe that's why she was so hard on me all this time. You're suited for politics, not for the military. Don't repeat my mistakes. You are not that strong. I don't understand back then, but today I finally realized the meaning behind her words. Instructor Jinguuji had fallen, her face on my chest, choking on her own snot and tears. It was the last thing I saw before I lost consciousness. What was the real and what was in my mind playing tricks on me? To this day, I still don't know. Why did her tears upset me so much? Back then I had no idea. However, I did not leave empty-handed. Thanks to my actions, I managed to prevent those cadets from being dismissed. It's unbelievable when you think about it. A cold-headed stickler for the rules like myself risked a summary dismissal from the army by attacking an instructor. To make matters worse, my sparring partner was none other than Jinguuji Death Marimo, or Shinigami, because that was the word they used, and a much better fit than just death. I remember myself fainting, losing consciousness and bleeding all over the floor. And I remember her straddling me, still crying as she beat my face to a pulp. The scene was bizarre enough to make those who witnessed it shudder in terror. The cadets completely lost their drive for vengeance then and there, and really, who could blame them? For someone like me, who prides herself in always acting in the most logical and efficient manner, the result was quite ironic. Yeah, she absolutely went in there and just flew off the handle, and it absolutely worked. By disregarding all the cadets' demands, by losing my composure as soon as I encountered the first obstacle, I solved this crisis. Now that I think about it, this whole affair was a huge turning point for me. Something unexpected came to light after the Board of Inquiry examined the remains of Miura's TSF. The inspectors discovered Miura and Fujisawa had taken certain measures to ensure they could execute a bold sea-level maneuver. Speaking concretely, they disabled their TSS limiter and crew safety systems. To conceal their actions, fetch, go away. Okay. I don't know if you probably didn't see that, but if you did, I'm sorry. I get an annoying pop-up every once in a while. Like, I had to uninstall a stupid app that I keep forgetting about. Anyway, to conceal their actions, they fed fake information to the observers by deploying a virus on the network overseeing the exercise. That's why Instructor Jinguuji didn't catch them cheating beforehand, and why Instructor Narasawa wasn't able to take control of Miura's TSF. Fetch, man. This was all considered highly confidential information, nothing mere cadets like us should be told about. Carino, however, was somehow able to access the network and extract the information in real time. In the face of the final examination, all Miura and Fujisawa cared about was achieving our goals. How legitimate the means used were never a concern. Testimony from support staff drove the point home. Fujisawa had won the mechanics on her side, which made the fact she was in cahoots with Miura crystal clear. But even if no eyewitnesses had come forward, the upper brass should have already been aware of their culpability. The data link was tampered with, but there was no need for further analysis. It would have been obvious to headquarters something abnormal was going on just by reading the logs of the external observation monitor. Perhaps Instructor Jinguuji knew, back when she berated Fujisawa and Miura in front of us. Maybe she knew the extent of their deceit. In any case, the truth of this accident changed everything. When the investigation brought to light would have led the academy closing down under normal circumstances. And yet, no one was punished for anything that went down. Even I, who was assaulted by a superior officer, suffered no retaliation. Several days after ordering all cadets to remain on standby, the Board of Inquiry announced the final verdict. Miura's death was determined to be the result of an unfortunate training accident. And just like that, our daily lives full of pain returned like nothing had ever happened. Well, that's not quite accurate. For where my life was once a bad dream, now it would become a full-blown nightmare. Maybe it was in response to the accident, but the instructors had become harsher than ever. And then, 2 days later, I found out why Miura and Fujisawa had decided to bend the rules. Oh. She couldn't get Karino's words out of her head. Ever since the accident, Takemiya, who continued to wither away before my eyes, I tried to find out why Miura and Fujisawa decided to cheat. She found a clue in what Karino had said before, and after confronting him and getting his cooperation, she finally got a hold of one particular mechanic who was involved in Miura's plot. Takemiya made him talk and found out what Miura and Fujisawa had said. And her own beliefs, her hatred for Instructor Jinguuji, her wish for atonement, was what behind her single-minded pursuit of the truth. I wonder if she even knew herself, because I most certainly don't. But I will never forget Takemiya's face, drained of all vigor, as she told me what had been on their minds. They wanted to all graduate together as a team. Our performance is bringing the whole squad down. Takemiya and Isumi have a promising future ahead of them. We don't want to ruin it. We don't want to get in the way of their dreams. We want to repay their kindness. We want to give them a chance to beat Jinguuji. That's how Miura and Fujisawa justified themselves. In other words, they broke the rules for our sake. I can reach no other conclusion. To pay us back, Miura racked her brain, and Fujisawa made use of her underground connections she once renounced.
なんで気づいてあげられなかったんだろう。
You couldn't have known. Takemiya, you couldn't have known. Like, there's no way. There's no way you would know they would take it that far. In one sense, the maintenance officer's soldier's testimony saved us. In another, it was cruel and an unexpected blow. Takemiya had felt responsible for the accident's outcome since the beginning. After learning about their motivation, she kept on blaming herself more and more. I don't like where this is going. Not a trace remained of the woman who was once loved by everyone. Takemiya's cheerful personality was long gone. 5 days later, she left the school. Fujisawa escaped death and left the hospital 6 months later. Considering the mental and physical trauma she had to go through, it came as no surprise she was in no condition to return to surface pilot training and was granted a DOR. I haven't gotten in touch with either of them since. That's sad. Until she graduates alone. Look at it's still like lively here. It's alive and breathing.
任官おめでとうございます、少尉殿。
神宮寺軍曹、貴様の教練に心から感謝する。
So dumb. How sad.
はあ、妨害のお言葉、身に余る光栄です。
I know.
私は、あなたを一生忘れない。
存じております、少尉殿。ですが、あなたはおやめください。私は、下士官です。
And here. And she never got a chance to tell her goodbye or what she thought about all of those memories, huh? Because she died just out of the blue, kind of randomly. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. My plan was supposed to lead us to victory. Instead, Miura died, and Fujisawa was left in a coma. And the worst part is that, as harsh as that sounds, they had no one to blame but themselves. I can't begin to imagine how unbearable this must have been for Takemiya. All she wanted was to see us commissioned together, a wish that would never come true. If there'd been no accident, Miura and Fujisawa standing in the class would have changed drastically. The rest of the class would have been in awe of their wit and bravery. The fact they cheated wouldn't have mattered. They would have praised them for their grit and determination. The results alone would have been sufficient for the upper brass to look the other way. Because in a real fight, winning is all that matters. Miura and Fujisawa sought to lead us to victory by making use of the environment and scarce resources we were given, to release us from the deadlock we were in. I used to think Miura was just a good girl, that Fujisawa was empty inside, covering her voraciousness with sarcasm. I thought that that's all there was to them, but now I know I was blind all along. If they'd been commissioned, it's very likely their talents would have blossomed. Not to mention the matter of having performed a sea-level Albright turn before becoming a full-fledged pilot, shooting down Instructor Jinguuji in the process. Both would have become legends, I'm sure. However, glory was not what fate had in store for them. Their individual abilities did not catch up to their ambitions, not at that time. In the end, what happened was my fault as well. I should have accounted for their skill level and adjusted our tactics accordingly. We could have avoided a crisis by going after our targets with maximum efficiency. That was the commander's duty, and I failed. I killed Miura, and I maimed Fujisawa. Takamiya had no reason to blame herself. What happened back then was that I failed to realize Miura and Fujisawa were planning to cheat. Why wasn't I questioned personally? Why were there no questions about the accident itself? It seems so obvious now. Back in those days, that was the Empire's last chance to properly train new surface pilots. Yeah, they were donezo after that. They pretty much were gonna have nothing. Even then, the signs of our impending defeat were obvious to all who wanted to see. Given our lack of internal resources and the situation on the continent, it was a fact that we could no longer be ignored. In that perpetual state of emergency, the government had no time to worry about appearances. The former Sakaki administration foresaw the current state of affairs years ago and chose to prioritize a different set of goals, their own. Japan had been on the verge of collapse for several years. The ruling party knew. That's why they chose to train their successors, men and women who would be prepared for the day Japan falls. Military service was where new prospects were groomed, where the political leadership and the upper brass sought to mold young men and women into leaders of tomorrow. I only realized the implications of this policy after I assumed command of my own unit. We were incorporated into the United Nations forces, where we became the special task force for a secret international plan. That's when it finally dawned on me why they imposed such a harsh training regime on us. And several months later, I had all the answers. Thinking about it, it made sense. We couldn't grasp what loss is until we experienced it for ourselves. I was appointed as squad leader early on, but I wasn't able to understand what it means to be a commander until I'd gone through losing a subordinate. After being commissioned, the accident lingered on my mind, tormenting me every day. It also taught me in a way that I would never forget how important the proper allocation of role within the team is. Takamiya and I were among the best of all cadets, while Miura and Fujisawa constantly had subpar grades. I had wondered why we were assigned to the same squad for a long time, and the answer was there all along. It was so that we could learn from each other. The idea being, when someone as dogmatic as me, as someone as zealous as Takamiya were paired with people who weren't on the same level as us, we would be forced to make things work somehow. Talk about missing the forest for the trees. A commander's not necessarily supposed to be better than their subordinates. What a commander is supposed to do is to assign the right role to each member, taking them to the next stage of their personal growth. Fetch, this is... Are you taking notes? This is like Management 101 right here. Back in my time at the academy, the other cadets seemed childish to me. I looked down on them, put distance between us, and forced the others to follow the rules with no room for discussion. Takamiya changed everything. Her zeal slowly got to me, and the same goes for Fujisawa's caustic little quips and Miura's mistakes. I got emotional and clashed with them, and in doing so my real self was laid bare. Little by little my facade crumbled, that I would end up dropping all pretenses was just a matter of time. As we grew to understand each other, I could assign them to the roles they were most suited for. That's when we truly started bonding. That's why Miura and Fujisawa must have tried to determine how they could release us from our impasses, to figure out how to beat one of the instructors. If only things had gone another way. No, there's no point in dwelling on what will never be. Back then, if I could have dropped all pretenses from the start, if I could have just been myself all along, the worst might not have come to pass. My quiet personality, the short time we spent together, they're all just excuses. I know now that I'm pretending to be somebody I'm not will only result in more blood on my hands. That's the lesson I learned, the reason I never left anything to chance again. To think people had to lose their lives for me to understand something so simple. And here she is. Here she is. Because it's why you're here. It's because you're here because of these lessons you've learned. Fetch, and you know why you're here. Because you knew all along that there would be a time when you would have to. Because you planned for the worst case scenario, always in advance. You understand what it means to have roles that are necessary, and that the execution of those roles in the right time, in the right place, by the right person can mean the biggest difference in the world. My life will end in a matter of minutes. What point is there in dwelling on the wounds of the past? Perhaps there is one. Perhaps this is a confession of my sins. I guess the past will keep haunting me no matter how close to death I am. Instructor Jinguuji must have felt like this too. And it took me until this moment to notice.
なんだ
Yeah?
そんなこと
You guys made me realize something so important. That's why now... Hmm. I'm an idiot. Really a hopeless idiot. Yaoi wasn't the one who didn't understand me. The same goes for Takemiya, Fujisawa, and Miura, and Marika and Akira. The one who truly didn't understand me was myself. Trying to make us work together as a well-oiled machine so that the group could become something more than the sum of its parts. That was a duty Sergeant Jinguuji was entrusted with in training school. In the Isumi family, it was a task entrusted to Yaoi. What I wanted wasn't to become a leader or to inherit the role of firstborn daughter. What I wanted to become was Yaoi.
なんだ私姉さんに憧れてただけじゃない
Of course you were. Of course you were. Thinking about it, it was all too obvious. The real reason why I admired Instructor Jinguuji so much is because she resembled Yaoi. Why did I feel such intense anger toward her when I saw her grieving? I didn't know then, but now I'm finally aware of the reason. It wasn't that I felt betrayed, and it wasn't me being disappointed either. Instructor Jinguuji played the thankless role of the bad guy to perfection. For that, I put her on a pedestal day after day. I measured myself against her. So when Miura died, I assumed her pain must have been eased by her unwavering sense of duty. From my perspective, she had long stopped being a person. Instead, she had turned into an ideal, into what I aspired to be. I never expected to see her weeping right before my eyes. That's when it dawned on me. Instructor Jinguuji wasn't anything like me, she was just like Yaoi instead. As much like Instructor Jinguuji had been playing for her role, so had Yaoi. Maybe she'd simply had to act like the eldest daughter. No, that's definitely it. In the end, I never really tried to look at people beyond what's on the surface. That's what led me down on my squad mates as well. Fool.
本当バカだ
Yeah.
私
Yeah, you are. But so are we all, you idiot. We're all idiots. Everyone's an idiot.
今さらこんな大事なことに気づくなんて
No. I know. Maybe I had been relying on Yaoi all along. Because I could never become the eldest daughter. I could do what would be unthinkable for her. But perhaps she was able to play her role to mediate between us precisely because I was never content.
じゃあ仕方ないな。最後の手段だ。恥のかきついでに
I'm so sad.
来るよ。
I'm so sad about that.
私はいすみが好き。
So cute.
私さ、いすみみたいに何でもできちゃう人、すごく憧れちゃうんだ。でもさ、藤沢の言葉じゃないけど、あんたみたいに何でもできちゃう天才って多分わかんないと思うんだよね。思ったようにパッとできない人間が抱える悔しさとかネガティブになっちゃう気持ちって、だからね、私がいすみとあの子たちをつなぐ役をやればいいのかなって。そうすれば文体がうまく回るのかなって。
I'm so sad.
憧れちゃったらさ、その人を少しでも助けてあげたいじゃん。
It could have had something cool. And I don't know if Isumi would have been reciprocal, but dang it. What a beautiful thing. Oh. Come on, keep Keep it together, man. She's like crying and sobbing and laughing and crying and sobbing and laughing. I learned how I'm supposed to behave through the interactions I have with my sister. Problem was, I didn't try to adapt after I became a cadet. No doubt that's why Takamiya and the others rejected me so strongly at first. Getting along with my sisters was an easy task. I barely saw them, and when I did, it wasn't difficult to keep up a facade for a short while. Things don't work like that once you're enlisted. We were in each other's company 24/7. Anyone would be hard-pressed to endure my inquisitorial nature for so long. It's no wonder I thought Takamiya wasn't particularly noteworthy at first. She had one goal in mind, for us to be commissioned together. It was hard to notice, but she played the same role Yaroi did. Back when all of us were Isumi sisters, us Isumi sisters were living together. Takamiya was a reassuring presence, one that would mellow my headstrong character. As for Fujisawa, she played my part, rebelling against the one person she couldn't stand. It was hard to bear to see how I once acted with my own eyes. And Mira, she was what connected us. She was the one who brought our squad together. It's thanks to them I've made it this far. Thank you, Takamiya. Thank you, Mira. Thank you, Fujisawa. There's no way I could have ever forget you. If I hadn't met you guys, I would have passed away still lying to myself. You gave me so much. Goodbye.
さて、そろそろ最後の仕事だ。
Only one thing left to do. In this miracle machine. Seems I'm still missing the forest for the trees. I never needed to dwell on the past. The answers were in front of me all along. Even serving under someone like me, my subordinates found their way. They never stopped looking forward, and I'm sure they will play their part. The best of the best, trained by the brave women with a distinguished history in military service. Son and daughters of Jinguuji Marimo. My subordinates were too good for me. It's time.
Isumi だ。
Goodbye, Isumi.
困難な任務ばかりであったが、今日までよく耐え、私についてきてくれた。
It's seeing all of them again. That's the worst part.
貴様たちは最高の英士であり、私の誇りだ。任務半ばで先立つことは甚だ遺憾であるが、貴様たちであれば安心して後を任せられる。
Dang it, no! Not again.
私なき後も人類の勝利とオルタネイティブ4完遂に向け、これまで以上に精霊してくれることと確信する。早瀬、部隊の指揮は貴様に任せる。よろしく頼むぞ。
早瀬。
はい、お任せください。
部下をしごくのもほどほどにな。
大尉、お世話になりました。あの世は退屈でしょうが、しばらく我慢していてください。いずれ私も。
余計な心配はするな。向こうには柏木たちもいる。貴様たちの顔は当分見たくない。
Because she died right before this.
大尉、
貴様たちは急がなくていい。私たちだけで十分だ。神宮寺軍曹の言葉忘れるなよ。
Right.
はい。
鈴宮。
Isumi.
はい。
部隊を頼む。戦場でも後方でも貴様の存在が部隊に与える安心感はとても大きい。
はい。
早瀬をうまく扱えるのはお前だけだ。しっかりやれ。
It's so fun. It's so funny hearing that with like knowing the like the extra universe story for them.
泉大尉、 お世話になりました。
宗方、副隊長として早瀬をサポートしろ。貴様の冷静さは早瀬にとってとても頼もしいはずだ。
はい。
次に早瀬をからかう時にはよく考えた方がいいぞ。何しろ相手は部隊長だからな。
了解しました。十分に気をつけてからかいます。
Perfect answer.
そうか。
Fair enough.
大尉の部下であれたこと、いすみバルキリーズの一員であれたことを誇りに思います。
That was an interesting screenshot. I wonder if we'll see that later.
風間、早瀬と宗方の間をうまく取り持って新任どもをまとめ上げろ。貴様の穏やかさは部隊の潤滑油だからな。
はい。
Yes, ma'am.
貴様との約束、とうとう果たせなかったな。許してくれ。
大尉、そんな。
手配だけはしてある。他の誰かと行くといいだろう。
大尉。
Oh, was it leave? Was it like a leave trip or something?
申し訳ありません。
新任どもをくれぐれもよろしく頼んだぞ。
はい、大尉。お世話になりました。
鈴宮、貴様の能力は決して誰に劣るものでもない。
Suzumiya.
大尉。
だが思い込みにとらわれ自分で自分を追い込む癖が貴様の成長の足かせになっているんだ。
Right.
貴様が全てを背負い込む必要はない。そして誰も貴様がそうすることを求めてはいない。姉さんを早く安心させてやれ。ついでに早瀬もな。
はい。大尉、ありがとうございました。
榊。
はい。
This is one of my friends' like favorite characters, like of most stories even. Like, 'cause every time I see her, I actually think of him.
貴様はもう少し肩の力を抜くことを覚えろ。そうすれば本来持っている能力が実を結ぶはずだ。
Ouch. But yes, okay.
それは英士としてだけではなく、貴様の人生のいかなることにおいても必ずプラスになる。
はい。
貴様を見ていると昔の自分を思い出す。私と同じ鉄を踏まないようにな。要領よくやれ。
大尉、短い間でしたがお世話になりました。
鎧。
はい。
Hey, you.
貴様の明るさは部隊の財産だ。どんな時もそれを失わないでほしい。
ありがとうございます。
ただ普段の貴様はマイペースすぎる。時には人の話をじっくり聞くことも重要だぞ。
God, that's like it's a crippling problem for her.
はい。
同じポジションの風間からいろいろなことを学べ。いいな。
大尉、ありがとうございました。
綾峰、貴様は一見冷静に見えるが、とても激しく熱い心を秘めているな。貴様はそれを見せることが弱さや好きだと思っているのだろう。だがそうではない。人がお互いに理解を深めるには本音や内面をさらけ出すことも大切な場合がある。人に頼るのも頼られるのもそう悪いことではないぞ。
はい。
感情をコントロールできることは素晴らしいスキルだ。だがそれをもっとうまく使え。いいな。
大尉、 お世話になりました。
玉瀬、
Oh boy. Oh boy.
他人を思いやり、何よりも和を重んじる貴様は人間として立派だと思う。だが貴様は他人を気にするあまり、いざ自分が注目される状況になると萎縮してしまっているように見える。貴様は少しわがままを言うくらいでちょうどいい。あるがままの自分を相手に認めてもらえば楽になるはずだ。
That's some advice I think a lot of people do need to hear. It's weird to hear, but like sometimes be a little more selfish. There's a lot of us who need that. I think I'm one of them. But I think I learned that lesson a while ago. I used to be really bad about being like Tama, but I've become a lot better.
はい。ありがとうございました。
三剣、貴様に言いたいことはさっき散々伝えた。
Hey, Maya.
はい。常に己が戒めとします。
よし。では、思い出話に付き合ってくれ。
はい。
私には、とてもよくできた姉がいてな。明るくおおらかな姉にコンプレックスを抱いていた私は、彼女とは心に距離を置き、冷めた態度で接していた。
Right, about her twin.
今思い返すと、あの頃の私は、姉のようになろうと必死にもがいていたことがわかる。私は私でいいんだということに気づいて、やっと心から姉に向き合えるようになったんだ。つまらない話を聞かせてしまったな。達者でやれ。
大尉、お世話になりました。
Gonna need a psychology session after this.
白金、
Oh boy.
はい。
せっかく貴様に教えてもらった温泉作戦。決行できず無念だ。
I remember Operation Hot Spring. It was gonna be like, she's gonna be like, just say what you need to say, dang it. She'd tell him, call him an idiot for not being open about his feelings.
大尉。
その代わり、貴様は必ずあの命令を遂行しろ。
必ず今までの償いをします。
You better, dang it.
よし。あとは頼んだぞ。
はい。
Back after, so that was effectively me.
以上だ。
Bye, Isumi. It's over. It's over. The last time I'll act as squad commander. I did the best I could with the time I had left. I taught them all I knew. The future is theirs to create now. As A01's leader, as the one who has to carry out the will of my former squad mates, all that's left is to take care of my final duty. Dang. That's a beautiful picture. Hey, Marima. I'll see you again soon.
神宮寺教官、私はあなたのようになれましたか？
Yes, you did. Of course you did. Of course you did.
私、姉さんのように上手にやれた？
Yeah, you did.
みんな、私、今度はうまくやれたかな？
Here we go. Goodbye.
よかった。よかった。私、やっと。
You idiot. How could you pass her up, man?
やっとあんたに向き合える。やっと自分の気持ちに正直になれる。好きよ、まさき。あんたが大好き。お願い、姉さんを、妹たちを、お願い。私は大丈夫だって、すごく幸せだから。こんな世界だけど、こんなに苦しくて辛い世界だけど、私にとってはまさきが生きているだけで完璧なの。だから怒られるかもしれないけど、まさきより先に行けてよかったって思ってる。私、まさきを見送るなんて絶対耐えられないから。
I just think he looks like an idiot. But he was her idiot. That's all that matters, right?
これはね、ずっと覚えていてねっていう
You deserve
最後
it.
のわがまま。
You deserve it.
私のわがままはもう慣れっこでしょ。
Oh yeah, yeah. The worst. Here we go.
私、もう行かなきゃ。
Goodbye, Isumi. Is that from the VN itself? Like the extra timeline where she's actually freaking happy? Dang it. It's even worse on the other side, you know? I was bawling my eyes out last time too. I wish I could see the cherry blossoms bloom one last time. There she goes. Alternative never pulls its freaking punches, man. Fetch! I hate that this makes me cry every time. I'm just gonna be known as like the Muv-Luv guy who bawls his eyes out every time he plays the stupid games, but I don't care. Fetch, man. Such a good story. Even like a small little packet story like that one is so good. So stinking good. Voice actors again. The voice actors nail it. They nail it. I don't even understand Japanese, but they can just, they get the emotion, the impact, and the delivery so good. So good. So thank you so much for making this a thing again. We're not even done with this game yet, but this feels like a capstone, doesn't it? Like, I know the other ones are gonna be good, I'm sure, but man. Fetch! This was by itself was worth the cost of buying it, you know? Holy crap. You know what? And I think having all the context too is like so much more powerful. To be able to be like knowing like where things were gonna go from there, like what this meant, like how it entailed, like how it changed everybody, and how everything like moved forward, and just how terrifying and horrifying everything was and is, and just it's just it hurts. It hurts that it had to hurt so much, you know? Like, does that make it? I don't know if that makes a lick of sense, but it hurts. It really does. But it's so good too. Like, I'm so happy that I get to be. You know how much it sucks that people don't get to read this story? Like, I feel sorry for all you schmucks. Like, people who somehow walk around their whole life never like reading and understanding Muv-Luv and what it is and what it can do to you, and like, fetch, man. Like, it's so good, so good. I can't even imagine what it must be like to be like this, to be able to like go through these types of experiences and like see what it's all about, and like understanding just how insane all of this is. God. I just gotta breathe. And the music's bumping as always. Oh my gosh. I almost want to do like a rap party just for confessions, because that was just awesome. All right. I guess I should do a mini one though. Like, I'm just wallowing in my emotions right now, but I love Takemiya as a character. I saw a lot of myself in her, but I also see a lot of myself in Isumi. Maybe that's part of what makes Muv-Luv so special. Is like we can see ourselves in so many characters. Like in this episode alone, I said I felt like Takemiya, I felt like Isumi, I felt like Tama, I felt like Shirogane. Like, I identify so powerfully with so many of the people in so many different ways. It's like they're complex people. Like, I'm a complex person, but at the same time, I feel myself represented in so many different ways by all the different characters. That's what's so, like, how do I do this? I want to be able to write like this. I want to make something like this someday. I want to make this. Why am I not talented enough? Why can't I be that talented? Why can't I do things like this? It's a genuine question, actually. Why can't I? I wish I could with all my heart. Aw, there they are. And it's that stupid confession tree too, dang it. Aw, I really want to play that game sometime too. I want to get to know those sisters more. Although I guess we get to see one of the sisters, like Akira, I think, in like one of the next chapters. But man, like, I want to be that cool. I want to be this cool. So, Full Metal Marimo. Yeah, that's a good kudos to whoever made that one. This was very much a kind of a full metal jacket type of issue. Fetch, man. So, here we are at the end of another one. We've got not much left, and then we're moving on to Photon Melodies. So, we've got more coming, but I'm gonna need a break. I was gonna roll and like, I probably was gonna, I think I'm gonna like, have to detoxify a bit. Not detoxify, like it was good stuff, but like, it's painful emotionally. It's like going to an emotional gym. I need like to breathe for a second, make myself laugh something, because I got my cry in, that's for sure. So good though. So thank you for joining me for this series. Thank you for joining me for this episode specifically. Like, man, it was a pile of one. Like, this is like, if there's this is one of those ones I'm like, I hope a lot of people see this episode, because I loved making this episode. I'm glad I don't, cross my fingers, have a technical difficulty again, but I think we're okay. So I appreciate you spending the time with me. Thank you for spending this like series with me and joining me for the journey. I can't wait to bring you more. I hope you stick around. Thank you to the patrons, whoever you are in the future maybe, for being supportive. I hope you enjoy this, and keep in mind what are the little things you get when you get to, if you are a patron, if you keep an eye out for it. the name I give for the people who are patrons in the Discord are Asumi's Valkyries. And you should bear that badge. That actually is too honoring. I might want to change it just because I feel like it's kind of almost a discredit to what this story means to me. But I also think it's one of the most meaningful things I could share with somebody who's willing to try and support me. So that's why. But man, I'd be being able to like even know a character like Asumi is an honor. It's weird to say it, but it's so moving, and like I'm never gonna forget these stories. These are things that are gonna shape me for the rest of my life, and I'm proud of that. But anyway, I've talked long enough. Thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Got a lot to think about, and we'll jump into the next one next week. But until next video, watching me up, see me in next. I'll see you there.